Oh, man, I've always dreamt of being in a fist fight.
It's not as cool as you think.
Really?
No, it's not that good.
Don't tell me that, Ryan.
Showcasing local talent, professionals, and everyday people, making Salt Lake City what it is today. It's time for another episode of the I Am Salt Lake podcast.
Welcome to episode 162 of the I Am Salt Lake podcast. You guys know me. My name is Chris Hollifield. I am the host. Thank you so much for checking out my show, for giving it a listen however you found it. This episode, I got a great conversation with local Salt Lake City comedian Aaron Woodall. Something a little bit different here with the podcast. Ryan Prince, he set in on this podcast, did some co-hosting with me, something a little different. I typically don't have a co-host on the episode, so it was really fun to have Ryan Prince on the episode. You'll hear his voice chiming in from time to time throughout the conversation. Ryan's a really great guy. He's been a longtime listener of the podcast, and he wanted to check it out and see some behind-the-scenes action of podcasting. So I said, hey, why don't you join me for an episode? And so he joined me at the American Musicians Radio Studio where I had this conversation with Aaron Woodall and put a microphone in front of him. And I said, hey, feel free to chime in when you would like to. So that is the extra voice that you hear in this conversation. And who knows, maybe you'll hear more from Ryan Prince on future episodes of the I Am Salt Lake podcast. Hey, if you would like to sit in on any episode, if you'd like to come check it out, drop me an email, get in touch, and maybe you can sit in on a future episode of the I Am Salt Lake podcast. I got some great episodes lined up, so you're going to want to make sure to subscribe in iTunes or Stitcher Radio. Or if you want to come on a future episode, feel free to drop me an email at iamsaltlake@gmail.com and tell me what you're up to. Tell me what you got going on here in Salt Lake, and I'd love to bring you on and have you share your story with the rest of my listeners. I'm not going to do much more talking. I want to jump into the conversation that I had with Aaron. I had a really good time with him. He's a great individual. Make sure to follow him on Facebook. Go see him next time he performs, whether that's here in Salt Lake at Wise Guys, somewhere in Utah County, or for my listeners outside of Utah, maybe he's going to come to a town near you. So without any chatting, like I said, let's jump into that conversation that I had with Aaron Woodall, recorded at the American Musicians Radio Studio here in Salt Lake City, Utah. We're ready to party, guys.
Yeah.
This is on.
You guys ready?
It smells like a party in here.
Dude, and that voice, ladies and gentlemen, is Ryan Prince, longtime listener of the I Am Salt Lake podcast. He's been wanting to sit in. It's been a while. I mean, you've asked me to sit in, do a little co-host action. Say hello to everybody,
Hey,
Ryan.
guys. How's it going?
How you doing tonight,
Thanks for
Ryan?
having me.
Yeah,
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. And then we have a very special guest, Aaron Woodall. I'm going to let you introduce yourself. I mean, stand-up comedian from Salt Lake City.
That was the whole introduction. You did it.
That's the introduction. Well, I'm going to let you introduce yourself a little bit.
Well, I only asked to be on this podcast once, and you responded immediately. So, sorry. I don't know what took you so long, right?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not funny. I don't have a long record of awesomeness like you do. But
I found it very easy to get on this podcast. So easy. Anyway, so I'm Aaron Woodall. I'm 28. I'm from Bowie, Maryland. I live in downtown Salt Lake now, and I'm a stand-up comedian.
How long have you lived in Salt Lake?
Since last June.
Oh, wow. So you're recent to Salt Lake City.
Yeah, but I went to BYU.
What brought you to Salt Lake?
I went to BYU first. So I came, that's why I came to Utah. And I went there, I was there for like 5 years, I think, in total. And then I graduated last April and, then moved to Salt Lake.
Okay. So you've been in Utah.
I've been here.
For
I've been
quite a few years.
Yeah. But I really never came, not only did I not come to Salt Lake, I don't think I ever left Provo for 5 years. Like, even if people like wanted to do something in Orem, I was like, there's no way I'm driving to Orem. I don't feel like leaving. I would just be too, so I thought I thought Provo was Utah and Utah was Provo. And when I graduated, my wife and I actually had a really tough decision. So I had a job offer. I could have gone to be a high school English teacher back in Maryland. Or the only other option was like we maybe move to Salt Lake and try comedy full time. And we were like, and we weighed both options. and for a long time, and just like sleepless nights, we would just stay up and just talk about it. And the biggest con to like going to Salt Lake, we're like, we do not want to stay any longer in Utah. Like we got really sick of it these last 5 years.
What did you get sick of? What were you sick of?
I found I was just sick of Provo. Actually, that was it. And then and then we moved to Salt Lake, and we had like told ourselves, like we said, listen, like when we finally decided that's what we were going to do, like we made a patch, like we'll only be here for 2 more years, and then we'll go to like a bigger city, like a place that we, imagine ourselves being much happier. And we were in like Salt Lake for a couple of weeks before we were like, we could stay here for a while. And like we thought it immediately, but we're too embarrassed to like share it because I don't know, like we were like, we didn't know that Salt Lake
was actually cool.
Yeah. It's amazing. And I tell all my friends how much I love living here now. It's so, I don't, maybe it's just because we came from Provo that like by contrast, any city would have seemed spectacular,
It's like you left the Truman Show, man.
Yeah,
you got out of the bubble. You got to see
it's a different world. My mom lives down in Utah. I moved to Provo myself 20 years ago. I know exactly what you went through.
Do you get kind of a funny feeling when you round the point of the mountain?
Oh, absolutely. It's not very far away, but it seems like an eternity to get there.
I go there as soon as I moved there. I've suddenly gotten lots of work and lots of reasons to go back to Provo. Like as soon as I moved to Salt Lake, so I find myself driving there like several times a month to go do something. And going back to Provo, it was amazing how quick. Like when we left, we were like, we got married here. Like our first apartment was here. Our son was born in Provo. Like we're gonna have so many memories. It's kind of sad to leave. And then like the first time we came back to visit, we were like, F this town. We hate this. Ugh. The thing that I can't get over is how many rosy cheeked little bastards there are in Provo. Their cheeks are really rosier in Provo. That's the thing that I can't get over. So why is that? What is the genetic makeup of Mormons that is passed on this rosy cheek?
It's all this cheek squeezing.
You're so cute.
So what did you study at BYU then? English?
No, I studied Italian actually.
Really?
Yeah, I did
Throw
not.
some Italian out. Say some jokes. Give us some jokes.
I am Salt Lake podcast in Italian.
I mean, it's just gonna be one Italian word and then Salt Lake podcast. Okay. Sono Salt Lake podcast. There you go. That was the easiest translation that we could have done.
For all my listeners in Italy.
Yeah. We can maybe expand. I know some people. I can recommend the podcast too. No, I didn't do college very well. I didn't know. I think I was too scared to like do what I wanted to do. I was interested in. Like before college, I thought I would study film. But then I was actually married before I even started my freshman year. And so
where did you meet your wife at? Down in Provo?
Even weirder story, Boise, Idaho of all places. I went on a mission to Italy, which you might have inferred. And I came back. My parents were living in Boise, Idaho. And then her parents had just moved from like California to Boise, Idaho. We were both new people. And both super attractive, and it was just
sparks flew.
Yeah, just
you
were nuts for each other.
She touched your leg.
Exactly. This is the most Mormon meeting story ever. I spoke in sacrament meeting, and she like complimented my talk afterwards. She came up to me. She was like, "Hey, I liked your talk. It was,
you were hers
on faith and what I don't know what I talked about."
You're like, I have a funny feeling I don't know how to express.
And then she walked away, and I said to my friend, "That girl totally wants me." Like and she totally did though.
She liked my white shirt.
Anyway, by the time I got to Provo, I just was, I don't know. I wish if I could go back, I would do it differently, but I was like scared. I was like, I need to find a career that's going to make money and whatever. So I kept going to different majors and never liking any of them, but I kept taking Italian classes the whole time because they were
good
fun.
At them.
Yeah.
You could default to an A.
Yeah. And, I liked it. And, so then I got to a point where BYU was like, you really just have to leave. Like, you have to graduate now. And I was like, I guess my major's Italian then? They're like, yep, there's your diploma. Now go.
So what would you do with a job with that then? I mean, is it anything? Be a teacher, I guess, at school if you're a teacher.
Yeah, if you could teach Italian, that's great. There are very few teaching Italian jobs available that you don't need like a doctorate for. Like most Italian teaching jobs are at the collegiate, at the university level. And for that, you need, to a PhD, which I definitely was not going to study. I didn't want to be in college any longer. So then that leaves you about like 6 high school positions nationwide that are open, if you want to teach Italian. So it's, I mean, there's like state work, like
and
for the
wants
working
to
for the
be a
state.
teacher, though, right? I mean, seriously.
I got to teach, like freshmen at BYU, Italian 101, 102. I did that for a couple of years. Loved it. Best campus job that I had. And I really was good at it. I liked it. And that's what really got me thinking about, I could teach. Like, I could do this as a career.
And then now you just crack 7 jokes and you're like, I think I got a better plan.
Yeah.
No, wait. So, way too funny.
So while at BYU, I started they have a club there called Humor U. And it's like it's a stand-up, it's a club for people that are interested in stand-up comedy.
So that's what got you, I was actually going to jump into that question here. Like, what got you interested in comedy? How did that start?
I'd been interested in it for like a while.
Growing up as a kid, listening to Bill Cosby, right?
No, actually, I never listened to that much stand-up as a kid. I watched SNL a lot.
You were allowed to as a kid.
I don't know why.
Well, no, I mean, I just imagine you probably got brought up in a nice Mormon family, right?
I can remember my mom not like letting us watch The Simpsons. I'm like, I would have to sneak watch The Simpsons. But for some reason, my mom was always okay watching an SNL with me. At least maybe I'm remembering it differently. Maybe I was older. I don't know. But I remember
under the couch watching it, or
with my mom. Like, we would watch it together.
Same room. Maybe she didn't know you were in the room, right?
I would like memorize sketches. I would memorize skits and like rehearse, like perform them. Like, did you guys see that? There was this one sketch. Will Ferrell was a pilot, and Tobey Maguire was like the co-pilot. And he was new, and like I would remember all the lines and stuff. And I think that was like my beginnings with really trying to. I didn't know it at the time, but I was learning how to tell jokes. I was understanding like what was funny, what
like the proper format, how to lay it out.
Yeah, and that's what so I was always interested in doing comedy, and even though I didn't listen to stand up, I was very interested in doing stand up. And when I saw that they had a club at BYU, I was like, that's for me. I want to do that. I definitely want to do that. And so that became like the most constant thing in college.
So this was at BYU.
Yeah.
But it was probably all clean comedy.
Oh, very clean.
Yeah.
Incredibly clean. Cleaner than clean. Yeah. Sometimes so I'm still like a clean comedian today.
Okay.
But I get worried that I'm not. Like, I'll like always like, explain it to people and kind of apologize.
For
like,
being a clean comic?
Yeah, like, are you clean? I'm like, not really. I mean,
I say fart.
I say, I have this one joke about poop, and they're like, what? And I'm like, well, and it's because, I was trained at BYU, where it's like they have their whole definition.
That's a unique starting point.
I know, yeah. It's been very helpful. It's been very good. I think the only drawback is that I'm like worried that I'm not
clean. Look at Jim Gaffigan, though. I mean, he's a clean comic, right?
Brian Regan, too.
Brian Regan,
Crazy
yeah. I mean,
successful.
I think clean comics actually have an upper hand to it because it's harder, I think.
Oh, can I qualify this real fast? I was just checking out your YouTube clips. Go Aaron Woodall on YouTube, you guys. He's got some clips. You've got one on breastfeeding that cracked me up. How would that one, I'm not going to spoil it for anybody, but how would that fly at
that is not a joke that I could do at Humor U. I don't think so. I never tried doing that one at Humor U.
He's making eye contact with me. He's like, yeah, this is mine now. Yeah.
There's another joke on my YouTube channel about a specific part of childbirth called episiotomies. And if you're if you've never heard that word, like what's an episiotomy, I recommend watching this clip from my YouTube channel. But just be careful. Don't if you just put episiotomy into like a YouTube search, like just be careful what you click on. Anyway.
Fair warning.
Yeah, fair warning. Anyway, that joke began at BYU, and I performed it at BYU. And it was much different than what you'll see on the YouTube channel. And it's like, it was just basically like, childbirth is gross. That was the end of the joke. And I was doing that joke then at Wise Guys, and some other comics were kind of like making fun of me for it. And they're saying talking about how G-rated it was and how it was just kind of dumb. And I realized, so I was explaining to them, I was like, well, what I meant by the joke was when I learned about what an episiotomy was. And I started talking, and they're like, yeah, that's funny. That's what your joke should be. And and that's when I had this big click when I realized that, I could be a different, like I can express myself in a different way. Like, and I just said, if I didn't have any constraints, if there wasn't anyone telling me, what, like, I could and couldn't say, how would I have retold that experience? How would have I expressed that? And so I rewrote the joke, and I made it, and it was like super filthy. I wrote it down. I just like so filthy, and I had so many swear words in it, and like no filter. And then as I found my voice like through that activity, like I cut, like I don't swear nearly as much because that's not. Because it wasn't me, you know? Like, yeah. I was trying to find who I really was. Like, BYU helped build me as a comedian, but then when I wasn't there anymore, I was like, oh, I don't have any constraints. And so it really helped me find.
So you do swear a little now?
Yeah, I swear.
What was the first time you swore in a joke?
The first time I swore in a joke.
How did that make you feel? Like, in front of an audience. Was it weird for you? Did you feel like maybe I shouldn't be doing this? I
don't know. I don't think so.
Were you looking for your mom in the crowd?
The problem is, like, my mom came right when I was right after I wrote that joke. That there was this competition, the Rocky Mountain Laugh Off.
Okay, I'm familiar.
And like my mom happened to be in town visiting a friend, and she wanted to come support me. Right? And I'm like, oh, I don't want to have this conversation after the show with my mom, which she's had a couple of times, where she's like, we liked it, but we were just, I just know you could be, I just know who you are. And, you know, like a conversation like that. And I didn't want to have that, but I loved it. I wanted to win. I wanted to do well at this competition. I was like, this is my best joke. So, I think I said, I think the word was shit, right? I'm trying to remember how I said it. It's not a very, you know, which it's not.
It fit in perfectly, right?
Yeah, it fit in. But I was like so nervous about saying it in front of my mom. I think I didn't say it the night she was there. But that time I didn't feel, I don't know. There've been times when like I've gone to, let's say rougher crowds, like in Wyoming and stuff, and I've been like struggling, and I'll like crank up the swear words because I know that they'll like,
laugh at it.
They'll have a stronger reaction. And those times I've gone home like disappointed in myself, mainly because like the show also just wasn't good at all. Like even though I tried to alter my material for the audience so that they would like it better, they still didn't like me that much. And so then I felt dirtier inside, and I'm like, gosh,
sniffed the Mormonism on you like miles away.
Yeah. Well, it's more about me as a comedian. Well, I don't know. Like me as a comedian is expressing me as a person, right? And so when I feel like I'm pretending to be someone I'm not and doing jokes I don't really like, and this isn't just swear words. And it's like, it's dumber jokes that I don't really like, but I think that this crowd will like, and then they still don't like it. And then I said things that I normally wouldn't. That's when it feels weird or wrong or whatever. But like, and I'm sorry, Mom, because like I'm gonna like plug this on Facebook and be like, hey, I was on a podcast, and my mom's totally gonna listen to it.
I hope she does.
And she's totally gonna call me up.
Send me an email.
Okay.
And my mom didn't let me watch The Simpsons either, so she's in good company.
Do you swear in real life now, Ryan?
Yeah.
But I don't in front of my mom.
Yeah.
I respect my mom.
I don't in front of my mom either. Yeah.
I don't either. So
I used to cover my tattoos up in front of my mom.
I don't like swearing unnecessarily on stage. I do swear, and that's when I'll tell people like when I'm not a very clean comedian. I do say shit and damn once in 60 minutes in my 60-minute set, and they're like, yeah, that's totally clean.
Would it make a difference though if you stayed completely clean? Like would you get more sets, less sets, or don't you think it really matters?
Here's all right.
To me it would be like go balls out and just swear up a storm. Or not swear at all. That's
right.
How I would be a comedian.
Yeah, and and so I kind of been thinking about that lately. I'm already close to being a perfectly clean comedian. Maybe I should just be perfectly clean. Cut out everything.
Why not?
I don't know.
Be who you are. You're finding
that's
who
what
you
I'm.
Are.
Yeah, I'm very new at comedy still. I mean, I'm less than 5 years, and
I was impressed you said you had 60 minutes.
Yeah.
So that takes a while to build up to, I think, right?
It does. And I mean, it's not a fantastic 60 minutes, but yeah, I've done usually if I'm headlining a show, it's about 60 minutes.
So you have headlined some shows in?
Yeah.
Have you played outside of Utah?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Where have you
I just a couple weeks ago headlined a room in Sheridan, Wyoming. It's like almost Montana. It's like very north Wyoming,
There's people existing there, I guess.
Yeah, they do. And they were, so I had that weekend, I had 2 shows. Friday night, I had to go to Sheridan, Wyoming. And then Saturday, I had to drive straight back to Salt Lake to host this black tie event for Utah Advertising Federation. And I was like so excited about the advertising thing and so nervous about Sheridan because I needed to do like 60 minutes and like it's a cowboy town and they're not going to like my jokes about Harry Potter and stuff and whatever, And Sheridan was fantastic. They were a great crowd. They loved me. They were fun. They wore cowboy hats. They were nice. And then I was feeling great and I came back to Salt Lake and those advertising professionals, a bunch of assholes. They were just the worst audience. I hated them. I did not like them. But yeah,
anyway. A corporate gig and they're all just sitting there just silent.
No, the opposite actually. They were sitting there and not shutting the hell up. They were all like there's 300 people. They're all like little round tables,
right.
And they're all with their friends and they're all having 300 conversations.
Oh, so they were talking amongst each other, not even paying attention to you.
Like not even, no matter what I tried. Just nothing.
Was it breaking your concentration?
And then I was like okay, those were the jokes. And now for the first award, I hope that you listen to this. It's a woman getting a Lifetime Achievement Award. Please be quiet. Thank you. I felt like a den mother. Yeah, it was so weird. I was just so frustrated with these children. I'm like, please, everyone be respectful. But I mean, Wise Guys is the only real club that I've headlined. I'm like the headliner at these one night gigs in bar shows in other states, but I've never done like another club in another state. The only like club that I've headlined is Wise Guys.
Have you had like a lot of opportunities to open up for some big touring comedians at all?
Not really. No, I kind of missed that phase. That step.
Well, it's a phase, so you're not allowed to do I'm sorry. It anymore.
I don't know.
I'm done with that.
I don't know. I feel like a lot of people, that's the first time that like they get stage time at Wise Guys and they have to do that for a while before they move up. And, I kind of did all my guest sets and opening and all that stuff at Humor U. And then like I first kind of came into the Wise Guys. I mean, I'd done a couple guest spots, but I did that Rocky Mountain Laugh Off. I caught Keith Stubbs' attention, and then that's when he offered me a headlining spot in Ogden. And I try to get opening spots whenever I'm like when I don't have like a paying gig somewhere else. Like I ask, hey, do you need any guest spots? Do you need any openers this week? But I don't get a ton. And like, especially when like the big name people come in, I feel like that's when all the comics are asking for time and it's harder to go. And now there's only 2 Wise Guys clubs instead of 3. And there's still the same amount of comics, if not more, asking for stage time. So I just find it kind of hard for me to get, I want to open for TJ Miller and stuff when he's here. That would be amazing. Yeah. But there are a lot of other people who are, honestly better than me and have like paid more dues than me.
Yeah, but you can't say that. You're at your level though. You know what I mean? You're at where you're at.
Right. And like, so speaking of levels, I'm just saying like there's people who've been around longer who deserve it more, who get the time. So
and now you're on the I Am Salt Lake podcast. So you're making it big.
Get the podcast bounce.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm actually really, I've got a lot of opinions on, the whole clean comic thing.
Okay.
Because Mormons love to talk about it. And as a Mormon, like I hear it all the time. And my mom clips out articles from like Deseret News about clean comedians making it. She's just to remind you. Yeah, she's like, you don't have to swear.
Does she worry about you just becoming like a filthy comedian?
I think so.
I don't know. Who's a filthy
How many times has she found pot in your room? Tell the truth.
Eddie Murphy back in his heydays or Sam Kinison or something like that, right?
Yeah. I'm sure. I don't know. I remember so my high school had an improv team and I was on that And I remember like in the car with her one time, and she brought up a show that I had done at high school like several weeks ago. Like a lot of time had passed, and she'd still been thinking about it. And she'd finally found the perfect time. We were alone, and she was just like, I just want to talk to you about some of the jokes that you made at that show. And, I just want you to remember who you are and that you can be better and blah, blah. And, she gave me this speech, and I still get kind of those speeches from my parents. And what I feel like they don't realize, they're very worried that like the comedy industry is making me dirtier. They feel like everyone always asks like in like interviews, when I was in Humor U, BYU newspaper and like other like Mormon outlets, they'll do interviews and they always ask the same question, like, how do you respond to the pressure to be dirty or to be filthy? And the truth is there's absolutely no pressure in the comedy industry to be filthy. If anything, it's the opposite. I feel like more bookers ask for clean comedians. No one specifies like we need a dirty comedian for this show. No one will do that.
Filthiest comedian. But send him over.
Yeah, but you get lots of requests like this has to be clean. This is a corporate show. This has to be clean. Or this club owner doesn't like you to say these words. Blah blah blah. But there's this idea that like it's the industry that's going to like force you to be dirty.
And they're not, and it's little baggies of cocaine they're giving you.
No, it's not true at all, and it's like, anyway, and like the stories are always framed, like this guy's making it despite the fact he's like, look at what Jim Gaffigan has accomplished, even though he's clean. And that's not like a detriment. That's not a con to his act. Like there's no,
where do you think that comes from? That nobody can be funny without a fart joke, or you have to like has to be a dick joke, or you're not going to be funny.
There is.
You have to start down that slope.
One of the reasons that we laugh is shock. If we're shocked by something, we laugh, and that can be one of the easier ways to get someone to laugh. And if you can just say fuck when in an unexpected thing and shock people, like you can get a laugh, and that is an easier way to get a laugh. And I think, and that is true. But people like take that and they say like, oh, they're talking about it's the easy way out, right? And so when they look at Jim Gaffigan and they're like, well, he's doing it the hard way. And so I think maybe that's where it starts, like, because that's harder, right? But there are tons of crappy comedians. Like, go to any open mic. There's tons of crappy comedians who are just swearing. I don't know, because they just learned how, like, I don't know. Yeah. And it's not, but like Bill Burr, as we were talking about before the show, there's nothing easy about his comedy. And like, I feel like people will write off Louis C.K., because he's dirty. Like, oh, well, he's just taking the easy way out. I'm like, no, I mean, he's really put in decades of work and crafted these brilliant jokes. Like Bill Burr's latest special just blew me away. Like, I watched it when I was already kind of depressed, and I was just like, I would keep turning it off. It would get too good, and I was like, I'm never going to be a good comedian. This is so good. And so there's nothing, just because you swear doesn't mean that you're not a good comedian. And that's what I want. I feel like I'm preaching to the choir on this podcast. I don't know how many of the people in BYU that I want to reach with these words are even going to ever hear this podcast. So I don't know why I'm pushing it so hard. It's just a weird thing that I'm passionate about.
And I mean, I'm just trying to find out.
I've designed a whole Utah County marketing campaign for you. So yeah, we're
okay.
No, I'm just trying to find out your story. Actually, to be honest with you, it's just very interesting. I've talked to a lot of comedians on the podcast, obviously, but we've never really gotten into, as far as I can remember, maybe somewhere in the episode somewhere with somebody, we've talked about clean comedy. But I do find it interesting because clean comics are few and far between, and people remember who they are. Jim Gaffigan, Brian Regan. It's like, who else? Is there other clean comics? I don't know. Nothing else.
Jerry Seinfeld.
Jerry Seinfeld. Mm-hmm. We won't get into a Jerry Seinfeld tangent. I'm not a big fan of his comedy, though. Like, I love Seinfeld. Big fan of Seinfeld, but just him as a stand-up comedian. And I'm sure there's listeners out there that are going to stop listening to the podcast because of that, but whatever.
That's it, Chris. Final straw.
I think Jerry
Ryan's
Seinfeld.
out of here. Ryan's like, I'm done.
I guess.
I think I know what you mean, though, about Jerry Seinfeld. Is like, if you watch it today in 2015.
Yeah.
But it's like when I finally watched The Usual Suspects or something, like a couple of years ago, and I would be like, oh, okay. I don't know what all the fuss was about. And then everyone would be like, well, you have to think about like where that movie came in. Like there had never been a movie like it. And, so Jerry Seinfeld in the early 90s, that was that moment. Yeah. And now there's been an observational, everybody has tried to duplicate that. And it's just gotten old, I think.
You mentioned like Bill Burr and Louis C.K. And there's a lot of obviously, awesome comedians. Do you ever watch them and you're like, I'm never going to be as good as him. I might as well just pack my bags up and quit.
Yeah, it depends on my mood. Sometimes you watch them and you're like in a really positive mood and you're like, oh man, I'm going to be that someday. Like I'm going to get there. I just have to keep working. I just have to keep working. Look, he did it. Look how good he is. I can't wait to be that good. I'm going to pull out my notepad and start working on some jokes right now. But if I'm watching it already in a kind of depressed mood, then it gets worse. I'm like, no, never. There's no point in trying. I'm done. I gave it a good 8 months. I'm done with comedy.
Where would you like to go? As a comedian, where, we all envision ourselves, down the road 5 years, even a year down the road. Where?
I've always had trouble envisioning myself. Do you really, every time?
Do I really?
Do you really do it though? Because every time in college when that would come up, like people would ask that question a lot, like, where do you see, I can't.
You can't do it.
I can't imagine. I never have any good specifics. I'm like, I'll be.
Well, what's the furthest out? A week down the road? A month down the road?
But I've actually been asking myself that question a lot lately. Like, where? Because.
Or what would you like to
do? Knowing
a
exactly where I want to go with this, helps as I make other goals and work down that road. And so I've been trying to figure out exactly where it is. And I would love to make movies, to be in movies. And the thing is, I feel every time I think about something that I actually would love to do, I get like embarrassed. And I go, oh, but that's silly. But I know that I'll never really
embarrassed because you think people will shoot down your ideas.
Because I think it's fanciful. It's like, well, who doesn't want to be in a movie? Come on, like
I don't want to be in a movie.
Oh,
I have no desire.
Oh, okay.
I'm kidding.
It's just me. That
he wants to sign him up.
Yeah. So if you're listening, you make a movie. Hire me.
I think about SNL all the time, and how.
Would you like to be a writer, maybe even on SNL?
Get back into sketch stuff, improv,
right? Except I'm terrible at writing sketches. I tried a couple of times and they're so bad, and so I think like, is this really a goal of mine or is it just like a nice wish? Because if this is really a goal, Aaron, like you have to start. You need to come up with like a writing packet. Like you need to start writing stuff. You need, if this is really what you want to do. And I think, well, I won't ever. I'll never do it. And I like try to think about something else. And then I was reading an old article that I found about the Lonely Island, and just anytime I read anything about Saturday Night Live and like their schedules, it just sounds so romantic to me. They're just like, it's Thursday morning and you were supposed to have a sketch written yesterday and you don't have any ideas yet and you're locked in your office and you've got your three buddies, your creative friends, and you're bouncing ideas off each other and you finally come up with something. Like that sounds so awesome. I would and it's maybe just because I watched it with my mom when I was younger, but I think SNL would be amazing. But then I already feel like so dumb for saying that out loud, and I already want to like qualify it, like, and let people know, like, I don't really think I'm going to get on SNL, you guys, and it's
you're still young though, right? I mean, what, you said 28, 28. I mean, you gotta, gosh, you're still a baby,
right?
You're still young.
Pete Davidson got put on SNL this year, and he's like 20, and I'm so pissed. I was just like, screw this guy. And every sketch he was on, I was like, this sketch sucks. He's gonna get pulled. He's gonna get fired. He's not gonna make it. But then by this season, I'm like, all right, he's fine. He's funny. He's good, I guess.
It is funny when that vulnerability creeps in and shuts you down.
Yeah.
That's happened to me like in a number of areas of my life. And most recently I started trying to tap into my music gene and like play more and more and more. I share it with like 2 people. Like I won't, and I don't know how you felt, Chris, when you started the podcast, but it's sort of like,
I still have to pretend nobody listens to this. You know what I mean? Like that's the only way for me to do this. It's like, okay, nobody's listening.
Before you just break out in a cold sweat and quit.
Well,
drop the mic and call it a day.
Well, what would it take though, Ryan? You mentioned playing an instrument. You don't want people to hear
Lorne Michaels called me up and said I need a track.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd be there,
No, but what would make it so you're not afraid to play in front of more people? I mean, is there anything more?
It's a great point, because you got to treat it as like, oh, this isn't just a whim. Maybe this is like something where I got to just come down. Like I was listening to you guys last week, like we'll go down to the Royal on Tuesday nights and see if no one laughs at what you do. Or whatever,
Oh, you're thinking about going down there to the Royal?
Well, something like that,
Yeah.
like how do you jump into comedy? You just go on an open mic and put on your big boy pants and make it happen, right?
Yeah.
So, but speaking of that, Aaron, then I mean, the first time you ever got on stage, did you get laughs? Did you get like boos? I mean, what was that like?
I crushed it.
I was on fire. I dropped some Italian rhymes. I was swooning. The chicks wanted me.
I've really gone when I go to the pool, I know you should just jump into the pool, but I don't, and I walk in like really slowly, and then the water gets up to your crotch level, and you're like, and you get a little, you get your butt down in, and then you finally get that's kind of been my approach to comedy. I've really gone gradually into it. So, I mean, like by the time I went to my first Humor U open mic, I was auditioning, because that's like Humor U, you have to audition to be in the club. I had already had jokes that I'd thought about for like a year, that I'd been thinking about, that I'd been, like I'd say it out loud in conversation and stuff. I already had like a few minutes, and I did that. And they were already very polished and stuff, and so it went well, right? And then Humor U is just a great training ground. It's low stakes, and I did that for years before I started going to Wise Guys. So by the time I went to Wise Guys, I already had a lot of material. I already knew a lot of the basics and stuff, and I just keep kind of gradually going up.
So the first time you got on stage, did it feel like that time that you did all your homework and you knew exactly what was going on? You showed up for school, like excited about class, like excited to take the test?
Yeah, that's a good comparison. Yeah.
Threw it in, got an A, walked out of there.
Still so nervous. I don't know. I get super nervous for every performance still. I really do. My friend Paul Sheffield told a story about he was telling me about how he performed for Keith Stubbs once at Wise Guys and did a guest set, and he said, and that was the last time I was ever nervous for a set. And I was like, oh, screw you, man. I'm nervous before every single show.
I think it's good to be nervous a little bit,
But this guy was asking about confidence for stand-up comedians, and we have to seem very confident unless you're purposely going against that. But I mean, in most cases, comedians are trying to seem very confident on stage, because that's how you get a crowd to respect you and listen to you and laugh at your jokes and stuff. But I almost never feel confident. I am trying so hard to make you think that I don't care about what you think, but all that I am thinking is like, please like me, please, please. I crave that validation. Like I just need some friends. I just want you to like me as a person. And like when you don't laugh at this joke, I'm like, they hate me. Not my material. They hate me. They don't like me. They would never in a million, and it's that doubt. It's that insecurity. And I think it's about more than just comedy. I think that it comes, like, I feel I have problems with myself beyond comedy, right? Like I just don't like myself. And I think that if I did, like if I just,
but does anybody like that? We all
I know I've met these people. Like, yeah, Ryan's raising his hand. Have you ever met these people that are just like super confident and like happy with themselves?
Yeah, they're hiding something.
Yeah, you think so?
I don't know.
I know there are two kinds of people, and I met both kinds of people at BYU. They're very happy, very positive people. The one is like a genuinely good person, and they're happy and they're positive all the time because they're a good person. The other is happy and positive because nothing bad has happened to them yet in their life. They just have no idea, and those are the people that you just want to punch in the face. But the other people, you're like, I kind of want to be. I love how much you like yourself. And I feel like if I liked myself more, maybe that nervousness before a show maybe Paul Sheffield just loves himself. Maybe he's very comfortable with who he is, and that's why he's not so worried about what everyone thinks of him. But like me, it's like constant. And I think that's common with a lot of comedians. And that's why a lot of us are drawn to it, because you have an opportunity to have people just telling you instantly if they like you or not. You don't have to really wonder. You don't think you have to think about it after like the person walks away. Like, did I make a good impression? Because they freaking clapped for you. You know that you did. You know that they liked you, and it feels good.
It's a good way to shoot right to the top of someone's heart. Crack them up for a little while.
Oh,
and then
absolutely.
after that,
Think about even Facebook. It's like, oh my gosh, that post only got 14 likes. Oh my gosh, that post got 80 likes.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like how much
if I get 14 likes, that's like bowling 100. Like you're
really?
free. You're good. You hit triple digits. Like you're not
I'll
embarrassed.
complain to my wife about it all the time. I'm like, that was so much funnier than they give me credit for.
That's true.
That was way funnier than 14 likes.
Well, no, so much of our personal validation is through social media things. How many likes we got on Instagram, or how many likes we got on Facebook, or any of that. And it's like, gosh, is this really what we've become as a society? Sadly, it is.
Yeah.
But so where do you like your new jokes? Like when you're practicing your new jokes, do you do them like open mics, or does your wife have to listen to all of them? Or what?
I'm still trying to figure out what my routine is. At BYU is simple. I had a routine down. Humor U is like a great training ground for many reasons. One of which is you're not allowed to repeat material. They do like 8 shows a year, and you have to do new material each time. And so it's like every 6 weeks or so, I was writing a new 10 minutes, right? And I had like I had a set routine. This is also before I had a son. And it was really easy to have time alone on a laptop and just be able to write out stuff. And now I don't, and I used to write out everything word for word, and I would pick my words precisely. And now it's much more free form. I really, it's like, I really don't go to open mics as much as I should. I always say that I'm going to go. And then if like something doesn't come up with my wife or my son, I usually just, decide I'm not in the mood to see people. And I'm like, I just don't want to be around people. And every week I come up with a new excuse not to go. So most of my material is tried out like in longer sets. So if I'm doing a 60-minute set, it's very easy to squeeze in, 10 new minutes. And it's non-threatening too. Cause it's like, I know I've got my proven stuff that works, and I'll open and close with that, but I'm going to pepper in these new bits that I've never tried out before. And if they fail, like if they fall flat, I'm going to follow it up with a joke that I know works, So that's usually where I try out most of my material. It's just, in an actual performance, I'll have, a few new jokes that I want to try or I want to work on and just see where they go.
Because it's probably not fair. I mean, you got to try a new joke a few different audiences. Because you try in front of one audience, you might not get any chuckles, but then another audience, you do.
I think you have to try out jokes for years.
Yeah.
Like, there's certain jokes that you can try. If it bombs like 3 times, that joke probably is done, right? You don't need to keep working on it. Although I have some jokes that I'll come back to a year later. I'm like, I really wanted this joke to work. I'll try it again. But even when a joke works, it changes, and you'll do a joke the same way for a year, and then suddenly something new comes out of your mouth when you're on stage for whatever reason, because you've had a new experience that's made you think differently about that subject, or because someone in the audience had said something earlier and you made a callback, but it like works so perfectly. There are different things that you just keep changing. And I think that's changed how I feel about material. I started at Humor U and like coming up with new jokes all the time. I would look down on comedians who'd been on the road for years and were still doing the same jokes. I was like, that guy's not a very good comedian. He's lazy. He's not, and maybe he is. Maybe that's why. But, now that I'm in that position, I feel bad that I thought those things about those guys, because I'm like, yeah, you're not done. I think we all buy into this story about Louis C.K. coming up with a new 60 minutes every year, and we all think that we need to be like that. But like Louis has been, like I said before, been doing it for decades. I don't think that 3 or 4 years in, he was throwing out all of his material from the year previous. Cause like right now I feel like I've got 2 good jokes. Like I have 2 jokes that work on every crowd every time I perform them, no matter where. And I'm not going to stop doing them until I've got jokes that replace them, you know? And so I think that jokes really do take years to develop. Yeah.
Do you carry like a notepad around with you, or do you just like with a smartphone or?
Well, now that I have a smartphone, that might change.
Welcome to smartphone ownership. How's it been?
Oh, did you just barely get one?
I just last week, just my first week with a smartphone.
Congratulations!
Thank you.
Like, what were you running, like a flip phone or?
Yeah, and I thought that was
calling
fine.
card and a pocket full of quarters.
And I that's all I wanted, and I could live without it. And then we upgraded to a phone that like had data, but it wasn't really a smartphone, you know, so we could do some things. And I was like, well, for people who've never had smartphones, this is going to be like gold to us. But it wasn't. As soon as you had this little taste, you're like, well, I want apps and I want them.
What is this world of apps you talk of?
And so we finally got, smartphone. So like now I'm like finally tweeting because I used to like open up my laptop, log into Twitter, and like I'd remember something that I thought of, like that'll be good to tweet, and I'd go home later and then tweet it, you know. And so now I've got this phone. I'm taking pictures and instantly gramming them, and it's been fun. I have noticed it's way more easier to get likes on Instagram than on Facebook. That was my one observation from smartphone week 1. But
so, did you get an iPhone or an Android?
I got an Android. I got a Moto X.
I don't know anything about Androids. I'm an iPhone guy.
I didn't know anything about anything.
You were just like, okay, whatever.
I had like certain friends that I kept messaging and asking questions, and they walked me through it.
So do you find yourself now at dinner and you're staring at your phone and your wife's like, can you put your phone down and talk to me?
Yeah, already. Yeah, no, actually, my wife, she does. She nags at me for like being on the phone, but she is like constantly... She's just as engrossed into her phone.
Pinterest, I bet, right?
No, games. She's like building towns on her phone. She's like trying to tell me about the sewage problem that she's encountered in her town, and I try to be interested.
You're like Jim Carrey on Dumb and Dumber. You're like, no, and I don't care.
Yeah, exactly. I just go, okay, all right. I'm going to go see how many new followers I have on Instagram now. That's what we just feel better about ourselves in different ways. She's like building a town and feel like that gives her self-worth because she, you know, made the irrigation work.
Civil engineering is an empowering experience.
Yeah. But I just need likes. I just need little hearts on my photos.
So you're on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, right?
Yeah, at Aaron Woodall 14 for Twitter and Instagram.
Blow them up with likes.
Yeah,
just let him have them.
I'll definitely
just tap the screen. Tap it once for Aaron.
I'll put those on the show note screen. You know,
AaronWoodall.com is my website.
Okay, so you have a website.
Yeah, AaronWoodall.com.
Do you have DVDs and everything too?
I do. You can buy a DVD on my website or in any of my shows. They're cheaper if you buy them in person, but I charge you through the nose from the website.
When you were a kid. Right, when you were just a young kid, what did you want to be when you grew up? Probably had no idea you were going to get into stand-up, but like, you know, a fireman or a policeman. Or...
Now it makes a lot of sense. And my mom is my mom's actually really happy that I'm like pursuing this career. It was like I was trying to study sociology and stuff in college, and she always knew that wasn't for me. And like she tells stories about when like being very young, and I would memorize Steve Martin routines, and I would perform them in front of adult. Like when like my parents had friends over, I would like stand in front of the couch and just rehearse these things. But I don't think even though I was doing that, like I just thought that was fun. I was just trying to connect with people and make people laugh. I knew that I liked that, but I never thought of that as a job, like as a career. I remember for a long time wanting to work at NASA because I watched Apollo 13 and like I didn't want to be like the astronaut. I wanted to be like Clint Howard at the computer, and those guys who like take like when they like come into the room, they're like, you need to make this fit into this, and all you have is this. And I was like, those guys are so cool.
That's what I used to think watching MacGyver.
Yeah.
Did you always want to be MacGyver, Ryan?
Something like that. Yeah. I just wanted to hit home runs and dunk on people and score touchdowns.
Yeah.
Yeah. And also, maybe end up being like Bon Jovi or something awesome. Wanted it all.
You just wanted the feathered hair.
No compromises. Just wanted to go pro at everything I thought.
By the time I got to high school, though, I had friends who were actually working at NASA. Like I have friends who today like work at NASA. At my high school, they got like internships as seniors to go start working at NASA. And I was like trying to take the same classes as them. I remember getting.
Is that where some of your nerds jokes come from?
Yes,
those guys.
Nerds. I got kicked out of AP Physics because I was so bad. I was so bad at it. I got a D on a test. I was so bad that I got a D on the test, and the teacher accused me of cheating because it was the highest score that I'd gotten on any test so far. It was a 60. It was a 60 out of 100, and she accused me of cheating off of my neighbor, and so I got kicked out of AP Physics, and I was like,
Did you cheat?
No, I
Was
didn't.
she watching you like
She's
a hawk?
not listening. We could be honest here, Aaron. Come on.
I did not. I definitely did not. But
No credit for the teacher giving herself any credit for teaching you that you might actually improve as
she-
the course
she
went along.
didn't believe in herself. That was the
Exactly. Yeah,
problem.
that's her problem.
She didn't take any credit.
What's the most memorable concert or sporting event that you've ever been to?
I really never went to any concerts.
Oh, come on.
My parents never would have allowed me to go to a concert ever. And then I just never, I don't know, I'm not much of a music guy. My wife went to shows all the time before me, and so she tried to take me to, who did she take me? Matt Costa. We went and saw Matt Costa.
Oh, I love him. A great guitarist.
Yeah.
Kilby Court. Was that at Kilby Court that you saw him, or no?
No, it was like he performed at BYU.
Oh, really?
They brought him in, and it was a mess of a show. BYU really didn't do it very well. And so I didn't enjoy myself. My wife is sad that I never want to go to shows.
Does she still go to a lot of live music, your wife?
No, I think I need to take it. Like she's so good at like participating in my. She doesn't like stand up comedy, but she comes to shows all the time. So I was like, I should take her to go see the Mountain Goats, or someone's coming to Salt Lake soon. I think they're called the Mountain Goats. I'm not very into music. And I don't know. I've never even really been to that many sporting events because I can't afford them. I almost, Ryan, last year flew to Denver to watch, the Chargers play the Broncos in the divisional round playoffs. It was so spontaneous. Cause I'd watched them beat the Bengals, and I was just elated. I was just so happy that we won a playoff game, and I was so pumped. And I immediately started looking up flights to Denver. I'm like, how much would it cost? And I'm like, oh, this is a pretty cheap flight to Denver. And then a ticket, I could get this nosebleed seat. I just want to be there for it. And my wife was like, just really nice. She was like, sure, you could do that. Cause she knew all I had to do was sleep on it and let the adrenaline die down. And I'd be like, what am I thinking? That's not a wise investment.
Did she handle you that well? Is that what happened?
Yeah.
You woke up the next morning, you're like, it's $1,400 we don't have.
Yeah, she knows that she doesn't need to tell me that. So I'll figure it out. It's so hard for me to spend. When we first got married, she wanted to like actually dress me nicer and like try to get me to buy nicer clothes. And she took me to go buy jeans, and I was freaking out in the checkout line because I was holding a $50 pair of Levi's, and I was like, I've never bought a pair of like anything like this expensive. And I was like kind of like getting really anxious. I was like, shoot, I don't know if we should buy. She was like, they look great on you. They're going to last a long time. Like, just buy these pants. And I was like, and she actually had me walk outside. I just waited outside, and she went to the checkout and like paid for the pants because I couldn't do it.
Can you wear them? Do you feel guilt?
No, now I'm totally.
Do you still wear the Levi's? Do you still have that?
Is this them now?
This is a different pair.
Oh, I was like, how awesome would that be if you were still rocking?
I don't know what you're talking about with your style. I think you're winning, buddy. Look at that.
Ryan. Oh.
Yeah, you're married, right? So that's a good sign, right? You must, you.
Sorry,
I don't know where I was going with that
just
one.
self-pity.
It just sounded sad.
Turn that self-pity spigot off.
Yeah.
You're married. That must be great.
Tell me what it's like. Oh, wow. Yeah. Have you ever been in a fist fight?
Oh, man, I've always dreamt of being in a fist fight.
It's not as cool as you think.
Really?
No, it's not that good.
Don't tell me that, Ryan.
Have you been in a fist fight, Ryan?
It wasn't my idea, and yeah.
Like a bar, I imagine a bar fight, like with stools
My buddy
broken
brushed
over
against some girl on the way to the bathroom in a crowded bar. The girl's boyfriend took exception of it, went after him. We kind of settled it right there, but then an hour and a half later, when the place was clearing out, him and all his buddies just jumped us.
Really?
Yeah.
Was that here in Utah?
No, I was in Florida. And
Florida.
Next thing I know, I got like just a pile of frat boys throwing fists. It's not that cool.
But you've dreamt of it, just never done.
Yeah. I always daydreamed about that, and like,
it's not as
and
cool.
in my head, in my head, I'm the best.
You're not Jet Li in the moment as much as you think you should be. I mean, like, it'll go well. I mean, you're big dude, but
that's the thing. Like,
stop dreaming about it. It's not that great.
Every time that I thought I was going to like get into a fight, I think the other guy was just like, "This dude's too big. I'm not going to fight him," and he'd walk away, and I'd be like, "Come on, give me."
That's work.
I'm smaller than you think. I'm just standing up straight right now.
Dude, how much do you weigh?
Right now, I'm under 240 for the first time in years.
Slow clap.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
That puts you as a heavyweight, and you could knock anybody out. If
really?
You catch him. Yeah, you're a heavyweight, man. 240. Jeez.
Right. So many times. So
full size,
I know a lot
of.
I know a lot of men. Like I have this same sort of daydream. But whenever I watch the NFL or like watch college sports, or anytime when they announce, like they'll say something, inevitably they'll be like, they'll talk about this guy, this prospect, like, oh, he's a monster. He's 6'4", 250 pounds, and I always go, I'm 6'4", I'm 250 pounds. Am I a monster? Like I just feel like
okay. I'm in that category as well. Let's give this one to Chris.
Yeah,
what?
I don't know. Like I don't know.
Who would win in a fight, Ryan or
No.
Aaron?
When you consider his size
when you
as
look
a,
at me,
as a
do you
large
see
guy, like a monster guy, you know?
Should I stand up? I'll just
Stand back
I
up.
mean, you wear XLs, you know? I get it.
A monster in a bad way?
doing my strongman pose
a
right
monster
now.
in a bad way? No, and absolutely not.
It's a non-intimidating
I don't know.
pose.
I like to think that my backup plan. Like I don't know. I know that I'll never do it.
Backup plan is to go to wrestle or
No, it's just like
WWF.
it feels good to know that I'm like I could just walk on to any NFL team, like, and they would just like their jaws would drop and they'd be like, "What? Look at that 6'4", 250-pound man. He's just the guy we've been looking for."
Yeah, maybe like...
No.
Is it that easy, Ryan? Come on.
I've never touched a unorganized football game in my life, and it's just like, oh, I'm just gonna sign you to the team right now. How many millions of dollars would you like? That's what's in my head whenever I watch football. Like, yeah, I could do that for sure. All you have to be is a certain height and a certain weight, and that's it.
This guy could plow that guy.
Yeah, I mean, this is a...
It's just jokes, Ryan.
I know, I'm laughing. I'm over here smiling. I'm just laughing at your jokes.
Okay.
I don't even want to humor
you're
this.
not offended.
You live downtown, right? You mentioned you live downtown.
Yeah, and I love it.
What? I mean, say somebody was visiting for the first time to Salt Lake. What are some things downtown that you would recommend?
So I actually had friends who were here to ski a little while ago.
Okay.
Old friends from Maryland that were coming to visit, and I wanted to take them on a parade of pizza. So I wanted to take them to all my favorite pizza places, and but I just like.
So what are your favorite pizza places down there?
Pier 49 Pizza is my favorite. I love it. I love the sourdough crust. It's fantastic. Pier 49 Pizza, if you want to sponsor me, like give me a t-shirt to wear on stage or something, we can do it. But there's
You've been to
the pie.
The pie hole?
The pie hole
on
and,
State Street
yeah,
there?
That's right. That's actually where we took my friends the first night.
Great
they loved
pizza.
it.
Yeah.
And and it's just cool atmosphere there. And I just like, they have the best like topping ideas, right? They
potato bacon. Oh.
Yeah. And they just have new stuff all the time, and it's fun. I like that place. I like to just grab a fun slice, you know. I'm like, I'll try something new, and I grab
a fun slice.
Yeah,
I
fun
like that.
slice.
I want a
Not like
non-fun
serious,
slice
not
now.
serious lunchtime or serious dinner, but like when you just need a fun slice, the pie hole.
It's a little pick-me-up.
And then there's the pie, and there's Sicilian, the pizza and kitchen. I know there's lots of pizza places.
Right on 300 there.
Uh-huh.
300 South, yeah.
I really like pizza, so I go every time I see a new pizza place, I'll grab.
I haven't been there.
It's
decent.
It's decent.
Yeah.
I feel like bad. Like if I badmouth them, then they'll come find me. Sicilians, you know.
I want to go on this parade. I can get behind
Let's
this
do it, Ryan. we could do a podcast episode just on pizzas. Dude, I have to be on. If you book someone else for the pizza episode,
okay, we can bring my portable equipment.
Yeah.
And we could record we can have a slice from each place.
Absolutely.
I'd like everyone who's interested in joining this parade to contact Chris.
I'm actually liking this idea. No, this is seriously.
Can we do it with nachos after that?
We can do a nacho parade.
I want to have nacho week.
Nacho week.
Stay around City Hall, just
and eat nachos.
This is great. I like this.
No, I'll look you up, Ryan. Or, yeah, Brian and Aaron. You guys
We definitely do it. I know one of the biggest sites in Salt Lake is the temple, and it felt weird.
It's cool to look at.
I kept bringing it up to my friends because I was like, what? And then I was giving them options, and then no one would ever acknowledge when I said the temple. Like, we could go see the temple. And then I started to worry that they thought I was going to make it a religious thing.
And they're not religious?
No, they're not Mormon. And they know and so I was like, oh.
And they're already hiding their beer from you and stuff.
Yeah. They're like, do they think that I'm going to baptize them in the temple or something? And so that was, but I was like, no, it's really just a thing to look at. There aren't that many things, pretty big things, but that's one thing that we could go. I don't know. I didn't mean anything by it. I apologize, you guys.
It's just crickets. Everybody's just silent.
Everyone's just still not saying anything. It's like, some more pizza then? We'll just keep doing pizza. Okay.
Did they have fun at least?
Yeah.
Sold?
They did.
They're like, I get it. I get why you're not coming home to teach Italian.
Yeah. And so they're living in Chicago now. Well, two of them in Chicago, one's in DC. And they have real jobs and real careers. And they make so much more than me. And I'm like, felt a little bad about that. I'm like, they have real jobs. And I realized I live like a king in Salt Lake.
Oh, absolutely.
They couldn't believe that Trax was free. They couldn't believe that it only cost $2 to park somewhere. And they're like, for how long? And I was like, days, just $2.
Just leaving it forever.
$2, this lifetime parking. You don't have to move. And they couldn't, they're like, they get it.
You have to tell me about this spot off air. Yeah. That sounds marvelous.
But this Salt Lake is, one of the things that's really making it work, as we do this experiment to see how long I can make it as a full-time comedian, is how affordable it is.
Yeah.
And it's just, we've having this internal struggle. We love Salt Lake so much, but are still kind of embarrassed. And for some reason, I think it's different for Mormons than maybe non-Mormons. We don't want to be from Utah. So my wife and I, neither of us grew up in Utah. And
so you have a P.O. box in Idaho still, right? Just to get mail sent there because you're like, I want to say I'm from Utah.
Yeah, how embarrassing is that? If you're holding on to, I would rather be from Idaho than Utah. That's a bad position to be in. But I don't know, just
I'm just nodding.
It's a weird thing for some reason, some egotistical reason, we are scared of being from Utah, but we can't deny how much we love downtown. And we've got the best apartment, and we feel like we'll never ever live in an apartment this good. We can never leave Salt Lake now. We're going to live here for the rest. Our son's going to be raised here. He's going to be a Utah Mormon. And then I feel like, well, then the only, and I don't really want that. So the only other option is just to leave Mormonism because I'm like, well, I always planned on raising my kids in the church, but not in Utah church. So I guess there's just,
Dude, your mom made it this far in the podcast. Don't give her a heart attack.
She's crying over her grandson now. No. It's weird. I grew up in Maryland, the only Mormon. And I knew I was weird and different and stuff, but everyone liked me. And I was the Mormon. And you hear about people not liking Mormons, and you hear from other Mormon relatives and friends and stuff. And you think why would anyone not like Mormons? We're so great. We're awesome. We're just nice. We rake leaves and stuff. And then I came to Utah and I was like, oh, I get it. Oh, I see it now. Yeah. Yeah. And you put us all together. Oh, we're kind of terrible. We're
just smarmy, condescending punks.
Yeah. That's, okay. I get it. And so I think that kind of lends to why we're embarrassed, to be from Utah. But,
see, that's what I'm trying to change with this podcast.
Yeah.
Is I'm trying to change this image, especially on Salt Lake City. It's a badass city to live in.
It's so cool.
Yeah.
We love the library. Maybe that's a nerdy thing to like, but we have a little boy.
We take him
and the library's so cool.
Hang out with the homeless people there.
Yeah. Well, I live with the homeless people actually. I live next to the road home.
You don't, literally not in the road home.
If I was any closer, I would be in the road home. Our windows are so terrible. We hear absolutely everything that's happening outside. I feel like
I've lived on that corner before.
Yeah.
Just bum fights. Sometimes there's a lot. Sometimes it made me really sad.
I've never seen anyone actually fight. I only see people yell and dance around. This morning.
That's when you want to get out there and fight them.
This morning, I'm just like, just fight or don't fight, guys. There was a guy chasing a person down the street, and he had all these people like holding him back, and you could tell he wanted to be held back. Like, he wasn't ever really going to fight this guy, but he's still just acting like, and the other guy who's running away is holding a blanket, and he's flapping the blanket at him like that's his defense. And I'm just watching him.
It's a huge insult.
I'm eating cereal, and I'm like, come on, just fight. I just want to see one fight. They're not going to do it. And I'll like leave. And I came back to the window, and they're still doing this blanket dance. And I'm like, you still not fighting? Come on, just fight already.
What do you want written on your tombstone?
Universally loved by every single person. Aaron Woodall.
I love it. Thank you so much for coming on the podcast. Thank you so much, Ryan, for sitting in and joining and watching.
You're fantastic.
And learning. I'm gonna bring you more on, often more on, right. Ryan. Did you enjoy it, Ryan?
Yeah, I love this.
Yeah.
Thanks, man.
Pizza Parade.
Pizza Parade. We'll have an I Am Salt Lake Pizza Parade. Get in touch. Seriously, drop me an email if you're interested to join the Pizza Parade. Aaron, run down the list how people can follow you online.
AaronWoodall.com is my website. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at AaronWoodall14. And I think those are it.
And I'll put all the links at IamSaltLake.com as well. If you can't remember it. If you see Aaron, tell him you heard him on the I Am Salt Lake podcast. If you see Ryan Prince, tell him you heard him on the I Am Salt Lake podcast. Now I'm going to sit down. I want to bring you back on the podcast, Ryan, and introduce you to the listeners. And I'd love to bring you back on, Aaron. Seriously.
Cool.
I mean, I've had a blast sitting here chatting with you. Anything else either one of you guys want to add before we end the show?
I just, go on YouTube, check out some of Aaron's stuff.
Oh yeah. YouTube.
Oh, thank you.
Cracking me up today.
Yeah.
Really liked it.
Yeah, and YouTube. I don't know what the name of my YouTube channel is.
I'll put the link. I'll
Okay,
put
cool.
the link at IamSaltLake.com.